Hello, this video is to accompany Notes 6.9 and Homework 6.9, which pretty much consists of two new theorems or rules. The first is called the angle sum theorem, and the second is called the exterior angle theorem. So let's get right to it. On your notes, the first thing you see is these three triangles. This is just vocabulary. The one on the left is called a right triangle because it contains a right angle. The middle triangle is an obtuse triangle because it has exactly one obtuse angle. The one on the right is an acute triangle because all three angles are acute angles. So the angle sum theorem states, as shown on the screen, that all triangles add up to 180 degrees with their interior angles. So in the cases shown on the screen, that means that for this triangle, I know that I have a right angle here, which is 90 degrees. I have a 50-degree angle here. So if I add 90 plus 50, I get 140, which means the remaining angle must be 180 degrees minus 140 because it adds up to 180 degrees. Well, 180 minus 140 is 40 degrees. For the middle triangle, since I have a 25-degree angle and I have a 112-degree angle, if I add those together, I end up with 137 degrees, which means the remaining angle must be 180 minus 137, which is 43 degrees. For the triangle on the right, I have a 50-degree angle and a 70-degree angle. Well, those two add up to 120 degrees. If I subtract 180 minus 120, I get a 60-degree angle for the third angle. The second rule for triangles today is called the exterior angle theorem. Now, before we say what the theorem means, let's look at some vocabulary. Notice on the triangle here, I have angle 4 marked as an exterior angle because that angle is outside of the triangle. And it's made by taking one of the sides of the triangle and extending the line. Then I have what are called remote interior angles. The remote interior angles are the two angles inside the triangle that are not touching or not adjacent to this angle, the exterior angle. So to give another example, if I have this triangle here and I extend this side of the triangle, then I can call angle 1 an exterior angle. The two remote interior angles would be the two angles that are not adjacent to angle 1, which would be this angle and this angle. Or what I could do instead is I could extend my line over here. Now I have this angle 1 as an exterior angle, and the two remote interior angles would be this one here and this one here, because they are not touching or adjacent to angle 1. So here's the exterior angle theorem. So imagine I have this picture, which is at the bottom of your notes page, and I have my angles numbered as shown. Remember that angle number 4 is an exterior angle. Well, the exterior angle theorem says that any exterior angle, like angle 4, is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. So in other words, angle 4 should be equal to angles 1 plus angle 2. And we can see that this is true because what I did right here is I cut out angle 1 and I put it right here. Then I cut out angle 2 and I put it exactly adjacent to angle 1. And then you can see that if I slide this over on top of angle 4, it fits perfectly. So angle 4 is the same as angles 1 plus 2. So that shows you why this theorem works. All right, so here is the exterior angle theorem written out in words. It just says that any exterior angle is equal to the sum of the measures of the remote interior angles, or the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals the measure of angle 4 on this picture. Let's look at some examples. So on the back of your notes, we see example 1. We're supposed to solve for x on this triangle. All three interior angles are labeled. We will use the angle sum theorem, which says that all triangles add up to 180 degrees with their interior angles. So we put 50, this angle, plus 85, this angle, plus 4x plus 1, this angle, equals 180. Then we're going to combine our like terms. So underneath of the arrows, I'm going to do 50 plus 85 plus 1. Well, 85 plus 50 is 135, plus 1 is 136. So we'll have 136 plus 4x equals 180. Next, we subtract 136 from both sides of the equation because we want to keep our variable term where it is. This gives us 4x equals 44 because 180 minus 136 is 44. The last step is to divide both sides of the equation by 4 to get our solution, x equals 11. Now if you substitute 11 for x back in this expression in the triangle, then you should get three angles that add up to 180. And you do, because 4 times 11 is 44 plus 1 is 45. And if I add 45 plus 85 plus 50, it indeed equals 180. Let's move to example 2. Example 2 is an application of the exterior angle theorem. So remember from the notes that the exterior angle, in this case 126 degrees, is equal to the two remote interior angles, which are the two angles that are not adjacent or not touching the exterior angle. So therefore, I add together x plus 2x plus 6 and set that equal to the exterior angle 126. So let's combine like terms. I'm going to take the x and the 2x, combine them together, I get 3x plus 6 equals 126. subtract 6 from both sides because I know that I want to keep my variable term. These cancel, and I'm left with 3x equals 120. And then finally, I will divide both sides of the equation by 3 to get my solution, x equals 40. Let's look at the third example. So on the third example, I color-coded the angles just to make it easier to see, but I need to figure out the measure of the question mark angle, which is at the bottom of the picture. So I have to figure out an order that I'm going to go in. I notice that I have a 50-degree angle and a 20-degree angle, which means I can find the green angle by taking 50 plus 20, which equals 70, and then I do 180 minus 70 to find the green angle. Well, 180 minus 70 is 110. So I know this angle is 110 degrees. Since the orange angle is vertical to the green angle, then this one must also be 110 degrees. Finally, I can find the blue angle by taking 110 plus 120, 110 plus 24, which equals 134. Subtract that from 180 to find the blue angle. Well, 180 minus 134 is 46 degrees. So the missing angle is 46 degrees. All right, let's switch gears and look at the assignment. So there are 4 examples worked out on the assignment. Let's go through those right now. So number 4, I'm given all 3 interior angles. That tells me that I'm going to add them together and set them equal to 180. Remember that the little box means that we are looking at a 90-degree angle there. So we'll put 90 plus x plus 28 plus 70 equals 180. I will combine my like terms. So I'll do 90 plus 28 plus 70. Well, 90 plus 70 is 160. 160 plus 28 is 188. So I get 188 plus x, because the x is still there, equals 180. I want to keep my x term, my variable term, where it is. So I subtract 188 from both sides of the equation. This cancels out. I'm left with x equals negative 8. Now you may be asking, how can an angle measure be negative? Well, it can't. But this negative 8 is not the angle measure, it's the value of x. So if I substitute negative 8 for x, then this angle ends up being 28 minus 8, which is 20 degrees. Let's look at number 8. And again, I color-coded this to make it easier to see. I'm going to start with the yellow angle by taking 26 and adding it to 86. If I add those together, I end up with 112. That tells me that the yellow angle must be 180 minus 112. And that gives me 68 degrees. Next, I move to the purple angle. Well, notice that all three of these angles are on a line. That means they total 180 degrees. So that means I need to take the 68 plus 72, add those together, and I end up with 140. If I subtract 180 minus 140, I end up with 40 degrees. Now I can find the red angle by adding 100 plus 40, which of course gives me 140. Subtract that from 180, and I get 40 degrees. So the question mark angle must be 40 degrees. And finally, let's take a look at number 12. Number 12 is the exterior angle theorem. Remember that the exterior angle theorem tells us that the exterior angle equals the two remote interior angles added together. So we're going to do these two added together equals that one. So let's write that out as 8x plus 8 plus 48 equals 20x minus 4. Let's combine terms. I have an 8 and a 48. This becomes 8x plus 56 equals 20x minus 4. So what I'll do here is I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides of the equation. That's going to make these cancel, but then I'm also going to add 4 to both sides of the equation, and that will make these cancel out. So I'm left with 56 plus 4 is 60 equals 20x minus 8x, which is 12x. Finally, divide both sides by 12. 12 over 12 equals 1. I'm left with x equals 60 divided by 12, which is 5. All right, that concludes this video. If you have any questions, then send me a message on Remind or an email or post something to Google Classroom. I am here for you guys. I don't care if it's the weekend or if it's the evening. You can send me a message on Remind if you have any questions, and I'll respond to you as soon as I see it. Thank you, and I hope you're having a good weekend.